Plant FAQs, Stachys Hummelo. How to care for Stachys Hummelo. Here's a guide on caring for Stachys Hummelo, a low-maintenance flowering plant. Light and soil. Prefers full sun but tolerates partial shade, especially in hot and humid climates. Needs well-drained soil. Stachys Hummelo doesn't like constantly wet roots. Watering. Keep the plant well-watered, especially during its first growing season and hot weather. Avoid letting the soil dry out completely. Pruning and maintenance. Deadhead spent flowers to encourage continued blooming and maintain a tidy appearance. You can also cut back the entire plant after flowering for a bushier look. Alternatively, leave the flower spikes for winter interest. Prune dead or damaged foliage in spring before new growth appears. For established plants, division can be done every 3 to 4 years in spring or fall to prevent the center from becoming woody. Additional tips. Stachys Hummelo is generally pest and disease resistant, and deer and rabbit resistant as well. Space plants 12 to 18 inches apart when planting. Does Stachys Hummelo rebloom? Absolutely. My Stachys Hummelo puts on a fantastic show in early summer, but I wouldn't call it a continuous bloomer. Once the initial flower spikes fade, I don't see many new blooms unless I give it a little deadheading. How to deadhead Stachys Hummelo. Deadheading is pretty easy though. I just snip off the spent flower spikes with some clean shears. It keeps the plant looking tidy and seems to encourage some secondary blooms, although they're not usually as abundant as the first flush. How to prune Stachys Hummelo. Speaking of keeping it tidy, I haven't really needed to prune my Stachys Hummelo much. It forms a nice, compact clump on its own. But if it starts to get leggy or woody in the center after a few years, I've heard you can prune it back lightly in spring. Is Stachys Hummelo plant poisonous for dogs? One thing I learned the hard way is that Stachys Hummelo seems perfectly safe for me, but my neighbor's dog took a nibble on it and got a bit of an upset stomach. So I definitely keep an eye out and make sure curious pups don't get too friendly with it. What is the difference between Stachys Hummelo and Stachys superba? Now, about the difference between Stachys Hummelo and Stachys superba. My Hummelo has these beautiful dark green, crinkly leaves that almost look ruffled. Superba seems to have smoother, lighter green leaves. And from what I've seen, the flowers on Superba are a brighter pink, almost magenta, compared to the rose lavender of my Hummelo. What plants pair well with Stachys Hummelo? As for what to plant with my Stachys Hummelo, I love how it complements my yellow yarrows. The colors really pop together, and the yarrows seem to bloom at the same time. I've also seen some people pair it with white or blue flowering perennials for a cool and calming effect. When to divide Stachys Hummelo. Finally, about dividing. I haven't actually divided my Stachys Hummelo yet, but I've been reading that every 3 to 4 years is a good rule of thumb, especially if the center starts to get crowded or woody. I'm thinking of doing it this spring and seeing how it goes.